Ladies, if you're not taking creatine, you are simply not getting the best results. It's true. You're not going to burn the body fat you want. You're not going to build the muscle you want. You're not going to perform the way you want. Plain and simple, you need to take creatine. Today's episode, we're going to break down why.
You know how I know we haven't made this statement or fussed about this enough is when my wife, who listens to every episode that we do and has been a part of this business since day one, should I take creatine?
No,
she's not alone.
No.
Yeah.
She asked me that the other day.
No way.
Yeah. It was not even a month ago.
It
was a few weeks ago. I'll have to ask her what it sparked. It must have been one of the other conversations that we had, and she said that exactly to me. She goes, should I take creatine? I can take creatine, right? I'm like, yeah.
What's crazy about this? We've said this before. When you look at the whole fitness and health space, we're all lied to by the fitness marketing machine. Lies quite a bit and misinforms all of us, but women have really paid the price. They really have. It took a long time for women to adopt strength training, for example.
Yeah.
A long time. They're now discovering that strength training is the most effective way to work out, regardless of your goal, even if it's just fat loss. By the way, all the data shows this, but now women are figuring this out. They're also late to the party with creatine. With creatine, a lot of women, there's a lot of myths surrounding creatine, and the myths are what scare them away. By the way, the myths around creatine were actually put out by our stupid industry. They really were, because when creatine came out, it was such a popular, effective supplement that other supplement companies wanted to try and sell their version of creatine to women. And the way they did it was by making up myths to scare them away from taking the other creatine. But the problem, what they actually caused was just fear. Mm-hmm. And so anytime I talk about creatine to women, these myths pop up about, well, doesn't it do this? Doesn't it do that? And it's all completely false. It's all completely false. It's the most effective supplement you could take, hands down, and it's effective for a lot of things you don't even realize. So I'm going to start with the first myth around creatine, probably the one that gets most women to kind of pause and maybe be afraid of taking creatine. And that myth is that it makes you bulky. Mm-hmm. That if I take creatine, I'm just going to get bigger. Yeah. And most women are not trying to get bigger. Some women are, but most women are trying to get leaner or more sculpted. This is why the fitness industry at one point talked about toning instead of building muscle, which is a made up word in that context as well. You either build muscle or you don't, but they did it to try to attract women because saying building would scare someone away. Creatine, not only is it like this whole about making you bulky thing a myth, it's actually the most effective fat burning supplement you could take. And a lot of people have no idea.
I like that argument.
Yeah.
It aligns so much with our messaging around when we first get clients, even when they need to lose 100 pounds, we reverse diet and we focus on building muscle, because building muscle is what's going to speed the metabolism and is what's going to help us get that weight off the fastest and also maintain it. And so the same theory applies here. Creatine is incredible for building muscle. Well, if it's incredible for building muscle, and muscle is the main form of what we do to improve somebody's metabolism, then therefore it would make it an incredible fat burner because it speeds the metabolism up.
Yes.
Well, I could see too. I mean, it's hard enough that we try to get our female clients to, go on a surplus, and we can't call it a bulk. We got to call it building, or we got to, sort of present it a little bit differently in terms of building muscle creates, this nice definition in their arms or legs. And it's a perception thing, because it's been, again, this myth has been presented, and again, to our own detriment. Our own people like promoting creatine created that sort of thought process around it, that all of a sudden they're going to look like linebackers taking this. So it's been a tough one to kind of take them back down and realize, like, this is very helpful for building muscle, which in turn helps you burn fat.
Yeah, if you look at the fat burner market or fat burning supplement market, you could look at them and kind of place them into two categories. Supplements that try to suppress appetite, and then supplements that promote or purport, I should say, to speed up your metabolism. So you'll see like thermogenic, right? A lot of people heard that. Thermogenic supplements. You take it, It amplifies your metabolism through this thermogenic process. You're going to burn more calories on your own, so it burns body fat. Or take this, and it makes you eat less. Now, both of those categories are kind of a waste of time. One, the thermogenic effect of a supplement that's going to speed up your metabolism through this central nervous system amplification. That's what caffeine does. And it's a negligible boost in metabolic rate, and it stops very quickly. The body adapts very quickly. So that's a waste. The appetite suppressing effects of supplements is also a waste, because although some of them do kill your appetite, like the now illegal ephedra, by the way, back in the day you used to be able to take ephedra with caffeine and it had this kind of appetite suppressing effect. It's very short-lived, and then you get a rebound effect when you come off. So the appetite suppression will last for a little while. The body adapts, then you go back to normal. Then you're taking it just to stay normal. Then you go off, and you get this rebound effect as these receptors are down-regulated or up-regulated as a result of the compound that you're taking. So waste of money, waste of time for the most part. Creatine actually builds metabolism in the way that's real.
Yeah.
Because what creatine does extremely effectively, more effectively, okay, than any other supplement we've ever studied or seen ever. The only thing that would compete or beat creatine would be hormones, but you're not going to buy those at a supplement store or whatever. Creatine builds muscle very effectively. Now, you're not going to gain pounds and pounds of muscle, but it will aid in the metabolism boosting, insulin sensitizing effects that muscle building provide. In fact, creatine on its own has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your muscle's ability to absorb carbohydrates and calories, amino acids, which you want. That helps the fat burning process. Creatine, if you put it in the context of all of the supplements and you compare it, and you're like, which one affects muscle growth the most? Which one affects insulin sensitivity? Which one's going to boost metabolic rate through the muscle building process the most? Creatine isn't just the best. It's literally in its own category. It's like everything else is over here, and here's creatine. So from that perspective, which is that's real deal, that's how it works, it's the best fat burner. It's actually the opposite of the myth that it's going to make me bulky. This is going to help you burn body fat. And not only that, it's going to help you burn body fat better than any other supplement that exists.
Well, not to derail this conversation, but I've always found it interesting how we can even market fat burners as fat burners. There's nothing about them that burns body fat. There's nothing. There's literally there, and that's wild when you think about it, because I don't know how many times I've had to communicate this to a client who's, oh, what about this fat burner? Or my friend's taking this. And it's like, there is nothing in that burns body fat at all whatsoever. And the best thing is either one, there's something that affects your central nervous system and just makes you move around like crazy. So you either just burn more calories because you move more. So that's
because you're all stimulated.
Or there's something that just completely crushes and suppresses the appetite. Therefore, you eat less calories. But there is nothing in that supplement that is actually doing anything metabolically to you. If anything, it's slowing your metabolism down by having you eat less food. So when you think about it and you compare it head to head with creatine that actually helps support building muscle, which in turn speeds up your metabolism, which in turn helps you lose body fat. There's no question. It's the best fat burner, but nobody markets it that way at all.
100%. The next myth, this one is...
And this is why, by the way.
Yes, this one right here is also super damaging. Yeah. And it's the myth that creatine makes you bloated. First of all, that's false. It doesn't make you bloated. Now, what it does do is it encourages and enhances intracellular hydration. Okay, so there's a difference between, and ladies watching, listening to this right now, you know what I'm talking about. There's a difference between looking hydrated and looking bloated. One of them, you look good.
Full versus dry muscle.
The other one, you look like you're not feeling very well, right? Bloated is water outside of the muscle, under the skin. It's puffiness. It's like I didn't get good sleep, or I drank too much alcohol, or I have an autoimmune reaction or something like that. That's what bloat looks like. Or I ate something that didn't agree with me. That's bloat. Hydration is different. Hydration is my skin looks good. And here's the best part. 70% of your muscle is water. So if you were to take your muscle, if you were to take your glutes, I want rounder glutes. Cool. Let's take your glutes off. Let's analyze those. 70% of what makes your glute is actually fluid. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's supposed to be there. What creatine does is it helps give you more of that hydration. So you want rounder, fuller, more sculpted muscles. You want them to be more hydrated. Creatine does that. Now, the reason why this myth even exists is when creatine first came out, it was so effective. It was blowing people's minds. Like anything in a market-based society, once something comes out, first of all, it was expensive. I remember back in the early 90s when I started taking creatine as a teenager, you would buy 30 servings and it would be something like $50, not adjusted for inflation, which is super expensive for like 1992, right? 30 servings, $50. Today you could buy 200 servings for less than that, even though money's worth less. And that's because it was so effective that everybody came to the space and started selling it. So the margins started getting smaller. And the way they started competing with each other was, well, I got to come up with new ways to sell. You're selling creatine monohydrate. I'm selling creatine monohydrate. How can I make mine sell more than yours? And so some of these supplement companies wisely identified the female market, which is true. If you want to sell a product and you want to do well, you want to target the female consumer because they tend to buy things. But what they did, and they really messed things up quite a bit for women for a long time, is they said, our creatine doesn't bloat you. So they inadvertently sold this idea that creatine made you bloated. And what it did is it actually scared women from taking creatine.
Yeah.
That's not what happens. It actually hydrates your body. By the way, it's not just your muscles that become more hydrated and feel. So right now, if you're watching this, if I were to dehydrate you or hydrate you, dehydrated you would feel flabby. Hydrated you would feel sculpted and firm. It doesn't just hydrate your muscles, it also hydrates your skin, and the data shows this. So if you want skin that looks more hydrated, creatine. In fact, they're now making skin creams that contain creatine as a result of this.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, we're talking about creatine in this episode. Our favorite place to get them is Legion Creatine Gummies. Check them out, get 20% off. Click right here.
Well, I'll tell you how I explained it to Katrina because that was actually her questioning. Well, doesn't it make me hold a bunch of water? And I have never met anybody, male or female, that doesn't like the way their body looks after they get a pump. When they go to the gym and they lift weights, they drink their jug of water or whatever, male or female will tell you, like, I like the way I look better there than I did when walking into the gym. And especially my female clients that, understand how to get a glute pump through like hip thrust and exercises like that. Like they'll tell you like how much they love that pump. And I explained to her, all that is you've came in, you drink your gallon of water or your jug of water and you're lifting weights and you're just pumping fluid into that muscle. Creatine enhances that.
Period.
So if you like the way your butt looks after you do a bunch of hip thrusts and drink some water inside the gym, creatine is what helps that, enhances that, makes that better. So, and the same thing goes for your shoulders, arms, and all the other muscles, but that's what's happening and that's what it's doing. It is different than when you're on your period and you feel bloated in your stomach and your body's retaining and holding water. Totally different. One of them holds it inside your muscles. The other is between your skin, right? And your muscles. Totally different look. And the one you want and the one you like is that one you get from working out. That's what creatine
By the
gives
way,
you.
Yeah, it looks more like inflammation versus, just looking tighter and fuller.
Creatine's got actually some anti-inflammatory properties, which is the ironic of this whole, conversation. Well. By the way, this is the way.
But it's the holding water that just sounds like every woman. Okay, in their defense, knows what that's like. They go through that every month.
Yes.
Every month they have a period in their month.
And a woman's hormone profile can do this.
Yes,
it can definitely
where it
make
changes up. They hold a bunch of water. Right. They feel it. They know what it looks like. They don't like it, and rightfully so and understandable. And so when they hear a product holds water, that's exactly where their brain. I know that. That's where my wife is. Where her brain went right away is. It holds water, doesn't it? Yes, but different. Not like what you're thinking.
That's why I use the word hydrated because women also understand. They know what it feels like and what it looks like when they're dehydrated, when their skin's dehydrated, when their muscles are dehydrated, their body's dehydrated. You just don't look as good. You don't feel as good. Mm-hmm. Creatine super hydrates all of those cells and your muscles included. By the way, this isn't even
performance enhancement,
and this is not even the primary action of creatine. The reason why this happens,
that's just a nice little side benefit.
The reason why this happens is creatine.
More weight as a result.
Creatine increases the amount of ATP that is available for energy in your body. What is ATP? ATP is one of the primary sources of energy for your cells, for all of your cells. So now when you have more ATP, when we're talking about just athletic performance, you're stronger. So when you take creatine, what you'll notice when you take creatine is within the first week or two, if nothing else changes, you're going to add about 2 to 5 pounds, sometimes 10 pounds to your lifts. Okay. So if you want to get stronger right away without changing anything else, start taking creatine. Within 2 weeks, your leg press, your squat, your lunge, your hip thrust, your overhead press, whatever, you are going to be stronger because you have more of this ATP. Now, along with this ATP comes in more hydration. So the side effect being muscles have more energy, but also now contain more of this hydration within them. By the way, this super hydrated state and the ATP fueled energy contributes to nitrogen retention, which is muscle growth. So it also speeds up the process by which you are actually building the actual contractile tissue, the dry, lean muscle tissue. So it's not just the hydration that you gain and your muscles feel fuller and rounder, which is good, but you also speed up and enhance the ability to actually build real muscle through this process. So it's not bloat. And I got to say this again. It really frustrates me that supplement companies came out and tried to come up with an angle. And what they did instead is they confused and misled so many women and prevented so many women from taking the most effective supplement they'll ever try in their entire life. By the way, creatine also has tremendous health benefits that don't just relate to muscle and fat loss, which we'll get to a little bit later. And it's actually quite remarkable. All right, last myth. Creatine makes you gain weight. Now, I'm going to be very clear. You probably will gain a pound or two on creatine. Okay, why? What I talked about earlier, this super hydrated state. So here's where I'm going to trip everybody out, okay? Right now, if you're watching this or listening to this right now, and I were to snap my fingers and just magically make you gain 4 pounds of intracellular water, of hydration in your muscles. If I just snap my fingers and gave you another 4 pounds of water inside your muscles, here's what would happen. They'd feel tighter, they'd feel fuller, they'd look more sculpted, and, you ready for this? You will instantly be leaner. You are instantly leaner. All right, so a lot of people are like, how does that work? If you gain weight and it's lean body mass, which fluid inside the muscles is considered lean body mass. When you get a body fat test, or that's what they're looking at too. If you gain intracellular fluid, if your muscles are more pumped and rounder and fuller, you are now leaner as a percentage. Your body fat percentage actually went down a little bit. Not much, maybe like 0.2, 0.3%, 0.1%, depending on how big you are. But you actually instantly become leaner as a percentage because of the hydration. So it's actually hilarious. So although your weight may go up on the scale a little bit from the intracellular fluid, the hydration within the muscles, again, that makes you look better, looks more sculpted, more toned, you're actually going to be leaner and you'll look leaner as a result.
I mean, I would argue it's more than what you just alluded. It's even more than that. 2, you could go test this. I've done this before.
Yeah.
So go take one of those body fat tests, any of your, DEXA scan or your hydrostatic dunk tank, any of those ones that test your lean body mass. Get your body and go in dehydrated. First thing in the morning, don't have any water, don't have any fluids from the night before, test your body fat. Literally the very next day, do it again, but this time drink a gallon of water before you go do it. That's it. Don't do anything different.
You're leaner.
Drink it, and you will drop 1% or more of body fat. That's how much you can manipulate that. And all that is your point is what you're doing is you're hydrating the muscles. And if you are dehydrated when you go into it in the morning, that means it's all sucked out. So you're gonna read at your lowest lean body mass. You take that same person, no matter what their size is, and you load them full of water. You now fill all those muscle bellies, which will now register on the machine as lean body mass. So if you want to test this, you can totally test it out, and it does. It looks better, it feels better, but it can manipulate that much, and that extra 1 pound or 2 pounds that goes on the scale is good weight.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you dehydrated yourself terribly right now, you would look flabbier. That's what would happen. You would actually look flabbier. If you super hydrated yourself, not bloat. Remember, this is hydration. You're going to look leaner, even though the scale may look like you gained a pound or 2. So most women taking creatine will probably gain a couple pounds on the scale, but they're going to be leaner as a result. And again, that's the firmness and sculpt that you're looking for. And then, of course, down the line, you burn more body fat more effectively. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, are you struggling to see results with your butt workouts? Are your glutes not responding? We have a secret to a great butt guide. Now, this gives you strategies, exercises, nutrition tips on how you can develop a great backside. You can download it for free right now by clicking on the link below in the description. The last myth is that creatine is somehow unsafe or it's risky. I still get this. Hey, I want to take creatine. What are the risks? I heard creatine is, maybe I shouldn't take it or whatever. Of all the supplements
Or it's not
that
natural.
exist,
Some people think it's not natural.
Creatine's it's natural. In fact, it was first successfully extracted out of meat because you find it in animal meat in 1832. So 1832 was the first time.
I didn't realize it was that far back.
Yes. It was studied. The first time it got studied was in 1912. Now, the reason why it wasn't available commercially, whatever, was it was expensive. It was expensive to extract. It was expensive to produce or whatever. But in the 1970s, they started doing studies on animals and humans. But again, it was still kind of expensive. By 1990, it started being commercially available because they found a way to get it and to be able to sell it. But again, it was way less expensive than it would have been because they found better ways of producing it. But it's more expensive than it is now. And since all that time, we've had over 500 peer-reviewed studies done, probably more, on creatine monohydrate.
It's one of the most studied supplements ever, right?
It's probably the most studied ergogenic supplement that exists. It's also not just one of the safest. So it builds muscle, burns body fat, makes me look better. I'm stronger, I perform better. Great. It's not, hey, it's a performance-enhancing supplement that helps you burn body fat and build muscle that's safe. It's, okay, to be clear, a performance-enhancing supplement that builds muscle, helps you burn body fat, that also makes you live longer, is good for your brain, is good for your cardiovascular system, is good for your heart, is good for your liver, is actually a longevity supplement. So not only is it safe, but if you take creatine regularly, you're probably going to live longer. The studies on creatine are insane. It shows efficacy for depression, anxiety, improved cognitive function, cardiovascular health, liver health. It's a longevity supplement. So it's not just safe, it's actually good for you. That's what gets crazy. Creatine is one of those supplements that even if you don't work out, you don't lift weights, you don't care about what I'm saying about muscle building, fat burning, whatever, you just want to be healthier, take creatine. Creatine's good for you.
I think it's important to address that because I've heard this also. People that are aware that it's derived from meat and, I eat lots of meat. I eat a lot of steak. I eat meat every single day. So that's why I don't really take it. In fact, there was a period of time where I thought the same thing too. Is it's like, I eat meat all day long. I eat a good high protein diet. I don't need to take creatine. And you don't need to take it, right? You're probably not deficient in it. But I know that a lot of the studies point towards the upper limit of creatine, that there's still benefits as you start getting up to 5 and 10 milligrams of creatine in a day. And in order to even hit 5 milligrams of creatine, or grams, 5 grams in a day, the amount of steak, I think it was 2 pounds of meat you'd have to eat to even get close to that.
Yeah. So everybody's going to benefit from taking creatine. The less meat you eat, the more you'll benefit, but everybody's going to benefit. And then now we have studies showing cognitive benefits from upwards of 10 grams of creatine a day. I mean, you're not eating 5 pounds of meat a day. Nobody's eating that much meat. That's how much you would need. So essentially, you're right. Most people are not deficient. Vegans probably, definitely take creatine if you're a vegan. And by the way, creatine is vegan. They synthesize it through amino acids that are not taken from animals, so you could take it and still be vegan. But benefits from 5 to 10 grams plus for cognitive benefits they're showing now. So in other words, you're not going to get all the benefits from creatine from your diet. This is one of those few supplements that are out there that you actually taking the supplement is a good idea. Period. And end of story. Yeah. So now I do want to say this. One of the challenges with creatine, in my experience, has always been consistency. Because creatine monohydrate, which by the way, that's the form you want.
Bro, this is why the gummy game is so strong.
100%.
Right now. Dude, I don't ever miss anymore.
100%. So it's creatine monohydrate's the form you want. That's the one that's studied. That's the one that's been shown to be the most efficacious. All the other versions that have tried to come out to compete with it, they all suck. None of them are better. Actually, some of them are worse. definitely all of them more expensive. Just go creatine monohydrate. That's it. Period. End of story. But creatine monohydrate is a flavorless, gritty powder. It's like sand.
It's like sand.
And unless you're like a fitness fanatic or supplement aficionado like me, like a lot of people don't like to pour powder in their face. And if you have to take pills, it's probably like 6 capsules or 7 capsules to get 5 grams. So the challenge I've always had with clients was consistency, because you want to take it every day. Yeah. You have to take it every single day.
It's not an easy one to dry powder and then juice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thankfully now we have companies, one of our partners, Legion, they put it in gummy form. So you think you get like 4 or 5 gummies. Yeah. And now you get your 5 grams of creatine. And what's funny is, like, you use yourself as an example, Adam. You were inconsistent with creatine. Yeah. I see you take it every single day.
Yeah.
Because you just eat the gummies.
It is. The gummies taste amazing, and it's easy. I take 6, but I don't ever miss anymore. And I've got them. I've got one in my room. I've got one right here in the dresser over here. I've got one everywhere in my house, where if I had forgot for the day, it's an easy thing to grab. I don't need water. I don't need to mix it with anything. It's easy. They taste good. So it's interesting to me that we actually took this long to get to that. I know. I know I've been talking about that for a while now, that the gummy market is like getting, well, I mean, there's studies on this. Humans are more likely to be consistent with giving their dog the vitamins and supplements and medication than they are themselves.
Yeah, we're terrible at it.
And I think a lot of that is just the pills are inconvenient. It's inconvenient. You forget. Oh, I don't have anything to, when you finally think of it, it's when you're driving somewhere and it's like you don't have anything to wash it down with. Just becomes kind of a hassle, where having something in gummy form, doesn't need to be refrigerated, that you can keep with you, just throw them in your mouth anytime, is just, I don't know, smart. Makes it easy.
I'm reminded all the time that this whole just like getting everything from your balanced diet, like that is a myth in itself. I mean, our food quality's changed so much over the years.
Also.
So like minerals, for instance, and just, what's lacking in the food and the nutrients. Now we really need to look at supplements and vitamins to fulfill. And so this is one of those that's like, there's so many benefits to it. You just got to make sure that this is part of the process.
Oh, it's to me, and a lot of scientists and doctors agree now. And this will happen in 10 years or so. Creatine it'll be given in hospitals. It'll be given in care homes. It's going to be given to everybody, because the benefits are so far reaching. Yeah. It's not just safe. It's a longevity compound that it's not just for people who
they keep finding new benefits.
It's just more recently, just a study came out showing improved cardiovascular function. So it's like, if you're not taking creatine, it makes no sense why you're not taking creatine.
Got some questions here. The first one is there a best time to take creatine?
No, not really. Now, there's some studies that show you might
right after workout
uptake more of it, I should say, post-workout. But the way creatine works is you take your creatine daily and you start to build
the levels
these,
up.
Yeah, these phosphocreatine stores.
So in other words, consistency trumps everything.
Yeah. So once you build up your stores, then you just take it every day to maintain those stores real high, and you're totally fine. Post-workout might get those to fill faster when you first start taking creatine, but it doesn't make a difference. You can take it anytime. We have a special in February, MAPS Anabolic and the No B.S. 6-pack formula together. These programs were actually created to be run together. Great for building muscle, boosting metabolism, burning body fat. Get them both of them, for $59.99. You can check them out at mapsfebruary.com. All right, back to the show.
Next question, who should not take creatine?
So there's really a small percentage of people who should not take creatine. One, people who are in active kidney disease, who are on a protein-restricted diet. You know this because your nephrologist says, don't take supplements, don't eat too much protein. Like we need to really, you're probably on dialysis. So that, and you'll know because your doctor told you. But you also shouldn't take most supplements in that case.
Anyone with like a polymorphism?
No.
Do they? Yeah, they don't even have those.
Nothing.
This, right?
No. Creatine benefits everyone. The only other group, there's a very small percentage of people who will get gastro distress from taking creatine. Just like anything, any supplement. If you take creatine and you notice it upsets your stomach, then you could try taking small, frequent doses throughout the day. And then if that still bothers you, then just don't take it. But in my experience, I've actually never had a client had an issue taking creatine. Never had anybody who's ever had problems.
Yeah, even that, it was like just a little different mix to go with it, and they're fine.
Does creatine cause hair loss?
This is another terrible, stupid myth.
I mean, this was a myth for a while.
There was one. Okay, so of all the studies, I said 500 peer-reviewed studies. There was one small study that showed a slight elevation of DHT, which is a androgenic hormone related to testosterone. And then what they did is they deduced from that and said, oh, if DHT goes up, then you're going to get more hair loss because DHT is related to hair loss. By the way, hair loss is far more complex than just DHT. Number one, it wasn't this crazy high, increase. Number two, no other study's ever shown anything like that. And so there's nobody in the field that points to that study whatsoever. It's total myth.
No weight.
That it causes anything with your, with hair loss. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat. For men, this is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're gonna talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.